Hello and welcome to the Wendell Effect. My name is Brandon Wendell, and I'll be guiding you through my view of the energy futures markets for the week of May 21st. I'm going to start off just reminding you we're not broker dealers or investment advisors. We're going to look at this information from an educational standpoint only, not telling you to buy, sell, or hold any particular securities, giving any personalized recommendations. Past performance, no indication of future results, and there is always risk in the markets. Do not trade with money you cannot afford to lose. We are also not subject to trading restrictions, so we can have a position in a security or initiate one at any time. Stay in touch with me. Give me some feedback. You can email me at brandonwendell.cmt@gmail.com. You can also find me on Twitter. I'm pretty active where I put out information during the week at TraderBdub. And of course, if you could, please hit the like and subscribe button and maybe even get the alerts as well so you're notified when we have new videos coming out on a regular basis for the Wendell Effect. Well, we're going to, as I said, take a look at the energy markets for the week of January 21st. And we're going to start off looking at the US dollar, which obviously impacts the energy markets. And you can see on the weekly chart, we had a positive divergence. We put in a low, but it was below 40. So that means that this supply zone might actually turn the dollar around. We may get there this week, I'm not quite sure. But if we do, and we don't go above 60 on this RSI, which it doesn't look like it will, we should get a nice bounce off that area. And if we do push to the downside from supply on the dollar, we should get rallies in the commodities. But that may not happen until later in the week. You can also see on the dollar, on the daily chart, we have a couple of supply zones that we're coming up to. We did go above 40 with our low there, and we did go above 60. So there's a possibility of pushing a little deeper into the zone. Again, the weekly is 104.50 to 105.88. That's actually this whole area here. So we may go through the first part, but stall out before breaking through the second daily supply. And again, it may start to push down towards the end of the week. You can also see on the 4-hour, we had a negative divergence, but in order to get a trend reversal, we still need confirmation after that. So we don't have a trend reversal confirmation. This may just be a pullback before we run up towards that 105 area and then stall out at the weekly supply or the second daily supply. Looking at crude oil weekly, well, we had a positive divergence. Prices made a lower low as it came back down a couple weeks ago. But we didn't have the bearish momentum we needed to continue to move down, and we're getting a little bounce. I don't think that's going to be a big bounce. It might just be a little sideways movement for the next week. You can see these candles have topping tails, which is selling pressure. Looking at crude oil historically, it doesn't really get a great move this month from May 21st to June 21st. Half the time it's gone up, half the time down. It looked kind of flat last year, and even the average return is not very good. So I might want to look elsewhere for investing. On the daily time frame, we are still making lower highs, and we just don't have a lot of momentum. Again, we had that positive divergence, which gave us a bit of a pullback from the weekly, but on the daily, we're still having some struggles, and that may lead to more sideways movement. On the 4-hour, same thing. As we rally up towards highs, we get a negative divergence that drops the price. We're up here again. We had a negative divergence. We start dropping the price. But, we need to make a high. And even if we do, right here, there's another high where the RSI is pretty low and we didn't go down much. Again, if we don't go below 40, we don't make new lows. So that's what you really got to keep in mind. If you make highs below 60 on the RSI and we do break below 40 on this 4-hour chart, I'd expect new lows to be made by the end of the week and push down towards that 62 level. If not, if we stay above 40 on the lows, then we'll just pretty much travel sideways for the week. Looking at nat gas, it does look a little bit bearish over the last 10 years. 40% of the time it went down. Last year was a big drop, obviously. And looking at the weekly chart here, you can see we had a little bit of a divergence where prices were moving down without momentum, and that's why we started pushing back. So we've had a retracement of 38%. And on the weekly chart, not sure if that's going to continue. So we look down at the daily and we start to see some weakness coming in. We did put in a low above 40, but we are currently staying below 60. So this is not a high yet. Okay, we need to make another lower high and lower low following that red candle. But if that happens and we don't close above 60, I would expect us to continue to move down. Maybe not break to a new low this week, but definitely move down from these highs, maybe down to 2.5 or high 2.4s. Looking at the 4-hour, we did try to break out, but again, we started losing momentum And that's suggesting we are ready to start falling down towards that 2.5 area once again. So we'll see if that actually follows through. But it does look like nat gas could get a little weak this week and start to drop a little bit in price. Looking at gasoline, this one also is a little bit bearish. Typically, 40% of the time for the last 10 years, it was bearish. It was bullish the last 3, but it is getting weaker, as you can see. And we're kind of at the bottom of the channel. We've just been back and forth on this weekly chart. We don't have any momentum to be able to break out yet. So unless that happens, if this follows through with the channel, we should be moving up to the top of the channel again this week, or at least towards it. Looking at the daily chart, though, it might be a little struggle. As you can see, we came into this daily supply at 2.5, and we don't have momentum. So if we do not make it to the top of the channel, we get stuck in this supply and start dropping, I would expect us to break out of the channel, possibly down to the 2.8 before you get a little bounce, and that's the weekly demand. 4-hour chart is also looking a little weak. We did slash through some of that selling pressure, but again, you see divergence. And if we can break down either with a peak below 60 or if we break 40 on the RSI, look for that drop. That'll be the signal first. Moving into heating oil, 100% of the time for the last 3 years, and this is not a big representation, but it has been bullish. So you can see we usually get that quick run at the end of May, beginning of June, and then just kind of quiets off a little bit. So yeah, that was going to August, actually. So we're going through the whole month of June, July, and August, a bit choppy. So if you're looking to make some money on the long side, historically, it just comes very quickly here in the end of May, beginning of June, and then nothing. Well, we bounced off weekly demand. And again, we've got topping tails indicating weakness. So it doesn't even look like this might follow through this year. On the daily chart, we did retrace 50% of our decline and are getting a little bit more bullish momentum, but unless we put in a low that's above 40 on the RSI, and this one was below, you see right there, unless we can bottom out above 40 with the low, we're not going to be able to go higher and not through that supply. So it looks as though we may be a little choppy this week, probably bouncing between 2.3 to 2.46, maybe go up and test the supply by the end of the week. If we end up dropping again, getting below 40 with the momentum, we could actually dive and end up somewhere at the high, 2.2, 2.3, 2.5, somewhere in that area by the end of the week. 4-hour chart is also looking a little weak. As you can see, we have another divergence, even though we broke through, it was tested, the supply was tested, it worked, tested again, and we started breaking. But unless we have a low that goes below 40, this is just going to be a small pullback before we test these other supply zones. So just keep an eye out for that. So that's what I got for you this week on the energy markets. If you got any questions, you can email me. Also, find me on Twitter at TraderBDub. And if you wouldn't mind, please hit the like and subscribe for the video. Helps me out a lot. You might even get the alerts as well. Until next time, trade safe, trade well, and thank you for supporting the Wendell Effect.